All right. Our next question, Jim, sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com, is from Michael Scriven in Springfield, Missouri.
You dirty Scriven.
Heard you do a list on the most boring wrestlers. How about this list of the worst tag teams?
Oh, another list.
And he sent a list that was recently posted of the top 7 worst tag teams on 411 Mania.
Okay, now is this of all time?
Let me just see. We spent a good portion of 2020 honoring the great tag teams of the past. It was one of the few things I enjoyed. However, we didn't, what is this saying? I guess of all time, according to this list, I think.
So where are the ding-dongs?
Well, number 7, the Dicks. Now, they work for you in...
how could we forget?
They were great, actually, in OVW, the Tolans.
No, the Dicks didn't work for me. The guys who were turned into the Dicks in the WWF worked for me, and they were very good, especially Tank Toland. He was brilliant. His gimmick brother, Chad, who looked so much like him, we just said, fuck him, he's your brother. He wasn't nearly as good a worker or as smart to the business as Tank was, but he got tremendous heat because of that sappy smile and the fact that he was kind of doofusy. But the Dicks were a horrible team.
Wasn't the story when they were on the main roster with that horrible gimmick, they got into a fight in the locker room between the two of them?
I think they did. I think Tank finally punched him.
Number 6 on the list of the 7 worst tag teams of all time.
Chad Dick was the Dick, the other brother. What was Tank's name as a Dick?
I'm trying to
I
see
remember
if it has
Chad
it here.
Dick.
It doesn't have it here.
Okay, all right.
Number 6 on the list, Techno Team 2000.
Ooh, yeah, that was
Troy and Travis.
That was pretty bad also. That was Eric Watson, who?
Chad Fortune.
That's right. Whatever became of him?
I don't know. I don't know where he came from, and I don't know where he went.
Well, nobody's looking for him, so let's leave it that way.
Troy and Travis, Techno Team 2000. That was pretty bad. Number 5, the Spirit Squad.
Oh, well, that doesn't really qualify as a tag team because there was 5 of them. I've called that in the past the St. Valentine's Day massacre of bad gimmicks. Instead of just killing one guy's career with a bad gimmick, they killed 5 guys. One of them had to change his fucking name entirely. Dolph Ziggler overcame it and continued on in the business. But poor Mondo and Johnny Jeter, who could have been a big star.
Ken Doane. Ken Doane could have been a big star.
Ken Doane had some attitude issues when he was young because he was young. He was here when he was 18. He was like 6'4" and whatever. But he also was very talented, could have been a big, but they just fucking, Nick Mitchell was the 5th one, and he had a bad back anyway, and was injured a lot and probably wasn't going to make it to begin with. But yeah, the Jeter and Mondo and Doane never recovered. And that was a crime because they were the best. Jeter and Mondo were both better than Nemeth, Dolph.
Number 4 on the list, the 7 worst tag teams, the Harris Brothers.
What?
Ron and Don Harris, also known as the Bruise Brothers, Jacob and Eli Blue, Skull and 8-Ball of the Disciples of Apocalypse. I don't remember this. Patrick and Gerald of Creative Control.
That has to be a shit-stained thing from TNA.
And Jared and Jacob Grimm.
The Harris boys are nowhere near a list of the worst tag teams ever that we haven't got to the ding-dongs on yet. I don't see where they've got that from. Well, but they may have seen, because DOA was what it was. It was all those interchangeable groups at that point. And I will admit the Grimm twins and the Blues didn't set anything on fire, but Ron and Don Harris were... Watch them against the Heavenly Bodies or the fucking Moondogs. Ron and Don kicked some fucking people's ass. They were guys I would enjoy having on my side in a fucking fight.
You knew how to use them. That's
well, it's not that fucking complicated, but I guess you're right because nobody else ever figured it out.
Number 3, the top 7 worst tag teams of all time, the New Midnight Express.
I can't criticize the performers, but yeah, that was completely rotten. Bob Holly and Bart Gunn. individually and as performers, neither one of them should be anywhere near a worst anything list in wrestling, especially given the last 15 or 20 years. But yeah, that was rotten. I knew it was rotten to begin with, but I, wanted those guys to have a chance at something because they were not being used at all, obviously.
Number 2, the Ding Dongs.
Well, there you go. The only thing is, I'm just wondering who the fuck beat them. And I said Herd did not. See, this is a misconception. A lot of people think that Jim Herd went to the TV tapings. He couldn't be bothered with going to the TV tapings of a fucking company that he was running unless it was Center Stage, because that was across the street from or down the block from CNN Center or whatever. But he would have these fucking bullshit ideas that we would be forced to implement, and he wouldn't even be there on the on the road tapings. And as a matter of fact, he didn't even come to most of the Central Stage tapings. If he was at TV, chances are it was at Central Stage or Center Stage.
Center Stage.
I'm trying. I'm desperately trying. It was at Center Stage if he was at a TV, but he didn't even come to all of those. But I wished he'd have been at that fucking TV to see the Ding Dongs debut. The first time they took a bump, those cheap little bells started popping off of their fucking full body suits, their fluorescent orange, as I remember, bodysuits, and rolling all over the ring, and the fucking guys getting in trying to take bumps for them or stepping on these little round balls and fucking falling all over everywhere. And I heard that fucking old antiquated piece of possum shit Jim Herd from his own fucking thin little chicken lips excitedly describing how that, and there's going to be a ship's bell in the corner, and when one of the ding dongs is in trouble, the other one's going to ring the bell, and that's going to signal the people to cheer like it was the old fucking bullhorn from the Kentuckians in days gone by. And they started ringing that bell, and the people were like, fuck you. They were either laughing or going to the concession stand or just get the fuck out of this ring. That's what the fans thought. It was fucking horrible. Horrible. And all the boys in the locker room were laughing. And not that we didn't like the two guys. What, Richard Sartain? I started to say Gaylord Sartain. He was an old hee-haw fucking talent. Richard Sartain and the other one, Greg something. God damn, I can't remember their name. We liked those guys.
Greg Evans?
There you go. Evans and Sartain. Sounded like a goddamn country duo. Those guys were nice guys, and it wasn't their fault, but it's just this fucking idiot who still to this day has never taken any responsibility for the way that he destroyed one of the two biggest wrestling companies in the world and led to Vince McMahon owning wrestling. And all he could do was put the ding dongs in the fucking ring. Piece of shit. And there's an example for you. Nice guys die young and pieces of shit linger on forever.
Well, that leaves us with number 1 on this list. I'm going to let you make a guess here. I will give you a little bit of a spoiler. It is a tag team from TNA.
Oh, good Lord. I didn't watch it except when I was there, but there was didn't they do some fucking goofy, the Johnsons, another set of dicks? Was that them? That's it.
You got it. Congratulations. I didn't watch this either. I'm looking at a visual here on the screen that looks ridiculous with their manager, Mortimer Plumtree, the Johnsons.
Yeah. Two guys dressed up in flesh-colored outfits to look like big dicks, right?
Mike and Todd Shane.
Yeah, it was the Shane twins. It was the fucking, the ones that I fired from wrestling school.
What? What's that story?
I've told you this. The WWF in 2004 or 5 had signed these Shane twins. They're identical twins, jacked up kind of bodybuilding guys from Florida, and sent them to OVW. And they said they'd been in the business for like 10 years or some long period of time. I guess one of those things where they had one match per year or whatever, right? So they've only been there a couple of weeks in OVW, and they've worked out of some of the classes and everything. So I'm going to put them in a dark match at the TV taping so that I could see what the fuck. And it's what I always did before I put anybody on television. I put them either in dark matches, either at the taping or over at the flea market or a small show, whatever. So it's a tag match, and I can't remember who the baby faces are, but the Shane twins are the heels. And the finish is going to be, I gave simple finishes because I figure if they can pull this off seamlessly, then we can build on something. If they can't do this, then all hope is lost. That's like I gave Linda Miles the finish in her last match in OVW. I said 4 minutes, small package. She couldn't do that. So with the Shane twins, okay, one twin will hold the babyface. The other twin will run for the clothesline, right? But the babyface will duck, and the one twin will clothesline the other twin, who, of course, will take a bump. Then the babyface's partner blows over and nails the fucking guy that just threw the clothesline through the ropes, and the guy that took the bump gets covered. 1, 2, 3. Simple, right? How can a tag team finish be any easier? It can't. I'm watching that match from the announce desk. We're about to fucking start the taping. Guess what the finish was, Brian?
What's that?
One of the Shane twins holds the babyface. The other Shane twin winds up for the clothesline and runs. As he throws the clothesline, the babyface ducks it, and so does the Shane twin. The fucking guy throwing the clothesline went over the top of both of them. Then the Shane twin that ducked realized, he stood up and looked left and right and realized that his brother had run past him and that he'd made a mistake. And then he took a bump. And the OVW fans in the Davis Arena scoff laughed. And the one thing that we never got was scoff laughing. They could laugh at the entertaining wrestling. They could cheer. They could boo. They could do whatever, but they never scoff laughed. My fucking head exploded. I came back in the back. I said, what the fuck was that all about? You know what their explanation was? Why that was all fucked up?
No.
They accidentally got in the wrong place. The twin that was holding was supposed to be the one that was clotheslining and vice versa. I said, you're fucking identical twins. I couldn't tell you apart. You couldn't figure out how to ad lib on the fly. That's when I said, how long you been in the business? They said, about 10 years. I said, then you need to find another line of work. I said, you just exposed the business out there in my fucking building in front of my TV crowd. Do not expect to ever wrestle in this facility again. And I walked off and left him. And I called the office the next day and talked to Johnny Ace. I said, I don't care what you do with him, but they can't stay here. He said, well, what? I told him, well, it's just a mistake. I said, no. If they've been in the business 10 minutes, much less 10 years, they're identical twins, and they can't figure out which one's supposed to duck and which one's not, fuck them. I'm not putting them in front of my people again. They can stay here and train. They will never make television. And I think I was going to say that he took them down to Deep South. He may have done that for a couple of weeks because that was still up, but they went straight to the main roster. Remember, that's when they brought him up to the main roster. I kicked him out of wrestling school because he had signed them because they were from Florida, and Johnny Ace doesn't have a goddamn clue about talent if it bit him on the fucking nose. So he signed them along with the wrong one-legged guy and the other fucking clowns. So instead of hearing that they were so bad that they could not be exposed to the crowd that watches the wrestling school matches anymore, and he'd made a mistake and just send them home, he brought them up to the main roster.
And apparently that was the second worst thing they ever did, because they were the Johnsons in TNA.
Yes, and that was after this, that they went and became Johnsons, and because Shitstain was continuing to live out his prepubescent adolescent fantasies about catfighting women and dick jokes. That's all a wrestling promotion was to him, was an opportunity to fucking masturbate like he did in his fucking bedroom when he was a teenager at all the things that he wasn't able to do then, and as we come to find out, as an adult, was never able to do either.
Is there a tag team that wasn't on this list that you think is deserving of being one of the 7 worst tag teams of all time?
Oh, God. But see, that's such a loaded question because can you imagine all of the bad outlaw wrestling, the independent matches over the last 20, 25 years, the crummy matches that took place in the territory days, in the opening match in Kansas City, or still when there were some outlaw promotions? The McGuire twins, just for putting aside the spectacle for performance, have to be one of the worst tag teams of all time, but they drew money if you only saw them once every 2 or 3 years because it was a spectacle. How are we grading, et cetera, et cetera? Do you go specifically on guys that actually made a living in the professional wrestling industry or every outlaw goof that's been on an indie show for the last 20 years? Then, because that would take the majority of the real rottenness. There's no way. It's like everything else. It's music. It's movies. There have been classics. There have been things that'll stand the test of time. And there's been shit that people just had to say, I don't ever want to see anything that looks like that ever again.
I'll pick one. I'm going to go based on it has to be on national TV. Road Warrior Animal and Heidenreich.
Oh, yeah.
Not young Road Warrior Animal. Road Warrior Animal at the end with Heidenreich.
Yeah. And John got a bad rep too, Heidenreich. What a nice guy. And seriously, what a nice guy. What an intelligent guy. What a fucking beast as far as training and as far as his physical capabilities. He was older when he started training to begin with. He did a great job for us here. And he was never going to be a smooth, polished worker, but because of the sheer look and power of the guy, there was ways to get shit out of him. But then they got up there and weirded him out and, everything else. And I know he liked it. He was having fun because he was a nice guy and liked being in the wrestling business. But the only person I ever liked having an imaginary friend was Killer Carl Cox. It didn't seem to work for anybody else.
Yeah, Rick Steiner tried it too.
Oh, I forgot Rick Steiner. Well, Rick Steiner was an homage to Cox, hence Alex.
Alex, right? Same name.
Yeah, same name. So unless your little imaginary friend is Alex, it doesn't work.
Well, some of these tag teams were truly atrocious, and perhaps they wouldn't have been so bad. This is a horrible transition. They had started their days with vitamins and minerals, all the various vitamins and minerals you can only get from Athletic Greens.
Oh, for fuck's sake, just spread out, kid, and let me take over. Let me ask you this. Do you want to go to the grocery store, folks, in the middle of a worldwide raging pandemic? Do you want to put 40 fruits and vegetables in your cart? Do you want to check out and get germs all over yourself? Do you want to come home, stick all that stuff in a blender, spray your kitchen walls, and then gulp it down to be healthy? Or do you want a person or persons to deliver to your home a mixture containing 40 fruits, vegetables, and botanicals with added vitamins and minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and much, much more that costs less than a cup of coffee a day, especially the way Brian Last drinks it. And it's as easy as adding water, shaking it up in the shaker that they will provide, and gulping it right down with no mess and no cleanup. Your wife likes it too. Suzanne likes it in Last Manor. Stacy loves it in Castle Cornette. The Athletic Greens shaker is always standing by in the refrigerator because Stace gulps it all the time, and she makes me do it too. Because even though I like it, I'm still one of those people. However, the most comprehensive daily nutritional beverage that has ever been produced is produced by Athletic Greens. And as we mentioned, the vitamins, the minerals, the whole food-sourced ingredients, it's all in this superfood blend to increase energy and focus, aid with digestion, support a healthy immune system, and fill the nutritional gaps in your diet. And Brian, if it's one thing that I learned a long time ago, it's that you don't feel really good unless you've had every gap filled numerous times over and over. Athletic Greens has obsessively improved this formula based on the latest research, and they produced 53 different versions of this over the last decade. They keep renewing it and upgrading it. They invest in the most improving it. That's what I'm trying to say. They invest in the most absorbable and natural source of each ingredient and go above and beyond in the third-party testing. So, and it's lifestyle friendly, keto free, paleo free, vegan free, dairy flea free, dairy free and gluten free.
No fleas.
No fleas. Less than 1 gram of sugar. The only thing it is it's not free. However, we can get you some free stuff. Because if you go to athleticgreens.com/JCE, then you will not only be able to get the Athletic Greens, but a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. If you visit that link, the one I just gave you, athleticgreens.com/JCE, free 1 year of vitamin D, 5 free travel packs, as well as this incredible superfood daily nutritional beverage, Athletic Greens. It's green as a pepper tree.
You know, so many people, New Year's resolution. That's what I was about to say, revolution. New Year's resolution is to get into shape, be healthier. The best way to do it, Athletic Greens, start each and every day with all the vitamins and all the minerals, all the nutrients you would need. It's a great way to kick off the new year and start a new regiment. Invest in your health.
Fill in them gaps.
Well,
fill those gaps over and over, as full as they'll go.
Let's fill some more gaps here on this show.